let me introduce you to our presenter today, Dr. Anita. She's the Senior Director at VMware, leading engineering for Skyline products that provides proactive insights to drive intelligent customer actions. And she has a very rich bio. She has worked as engineering leader at NetApp for strategy and execution of data science, microservices, API platforms, and cloud technologies. She has been with Oracle and Sun and engineering leadership positions. She has been a research associate at Argonne National Lab, researching applications and parallel computing, an area of AI. She holds multiple software patents and publications, and she has a PhD at computer science from the University of Illinois at Chicago. And she's always been richly awarded. The latest awards are from 2020, the IDG, Wants to Watch, which is for rising technology leaders and that have the capability to become C-level executives. 2019, she got the Bay Area Timmy Award as a Best Technical Manager, and she is a very distinguished Toastmaster. She's also a moderator and a speaker for STEM at Women in Technology and an advisor at ThriveWise and Bay Area nonprofit Women in Science and Engineering. So please welcome Anita.
Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to share with you the stories along my career path. I started as an engineer and progressed into management and leadership roles. As I progressed, I learned and developed insights along the way. I was born in Delhi, India, as the youngest of 4 daughters. My parents always encouraged me to follow my passion of science and math. They motivated me to be independent and follow my dreams. During childhood, my dad used to share with me stories about the machines which enabled travel to space and satellites which could transmit data from space. That developed my curiosity towards computers, and I decided to pursue the master's in computer science. While studying, I wanted to pursue the highest degree before joining the industry. To follow my dream, I traveled to US and earned my PhD. I always wanted to stay in the technical track. I was a senior engineer when an opportunity came my way for management. The experiences that I gained as part of transitioning from technical to management leadership were unique. And these experiences are the ones that shaped me into a person that I am today. Early in my career, I was a software engineer. When I initially started out, I was very much heads down and focused on my work, thinking that my efforts would be recognized. One day, I learned that my management had assigned a lead for my project to fulfill their career aspirations. It was a single person project, and I was doing all the work. And I was baffled as to why did I lose the opportunity to lead my own project. In conversation with my management, I learned that I never expressed interest in being a lead. That taught me an important lesson of expressing my intent and having the conversations with my management on my interests. And on another instance, as a lead for my project, I was given an assignment to deliver a protocol within an existing product in a fixed time frame. It was my first time as a lead, and I had instances of fear and self-doubt, which I will actually start like that if you don't mind. I had instances of fear and self-doubt, which actually I had to set aside. And I was always thinking, would I be able to accomplish my goal? I set aside those instances of fear and self-doubt and kept going. My team was successful in delivering the project. As part of delivering this project, we learned a very valuable lesson, and especially me, about planning and setting the right expectations. I used to be the only female engineer on the team. I built relationships with my peers, worked across boundaries for delivering my projects. In the process, my colleagues grew to learn about my strengths and build confidence in my skill set. I had one of the colleagues who had a project which was constantly missing deadlines. He contacted me to join his team. I joined his team and became the face of the project. First few meetings were very tough with the stakeholders, and I was always on the hot seat. In 2 months, I started delivering the project milestones and, uh, and gained stakeholder trust. This also changed the perception of the entire team in the stakeholder eyes. My manager at that time saw the collaboration, influence, and technical skills and offered me a management role. I was an engineer at heart, did not know anything about management. I saw this as an opportunity to go beyond my technical skills. Step into management opened a whole new world of essential skills with respect to strategic thinking, building high performance teams, execution, collaboration, and influence. As a new manager, I was constantly still being pulled into design reviews, code reviews, and coding for the project. Few months into the role, I realized I was still doing all my work from my previous role and had not really made a transition. I took steps to change that. I started delegating the code reviews coding to my technical teams so that I could focus on aligning the execution of my team to the organizational goals. This also enabled me to scale in building relationships, on driving our product adoption, and on enabling my team's execution. There are instances when we make a transition from technical to management. If you are a manager who has made a transition from technical to management, I want you to take a step back and look at, are you still stuck in doing your old job, or have you really made that transition? If you haven't made that transition, make that transition into building relationships and aligning your team's goals and enabling them to execute for building innovative products. Be bold, take risks, and overcome your fears. Early in my management career, I was given a strategic project to be delivered within a fixed time frame. This was to deliver a brand new industry standard and a reference implementation for web services. This was never done before and a completely unknown area. I took up this challenge and led my team to deliver the first web services standard for the industry. This also became the foundation of web services in the Java platform. This particular experience shaped my character into taking risks, exploring uncharted territories, and leading teams to successful outcomes. Since then, over several years throughout my career, I have worked with my team and led them to deliver several innovative platforms and products for the companies. I have realized that as a leader, I must or we must deal with ambiguity and provide clarity to our teams for successful execution. Over time, I have learned to recognize my fears and taken steps to overcome them. I used to have a racing heart and used to be very nervous when I had to present to audience. I joined Toastmasters to build confidence in my public speaking and to overcome my fears. Now I do not give up on any speaking opportunity. On the personal front, 2 years ago, we took a trip to Antarctica, and there was an activity for polar plunge where one had an opportunity to go and dive into the sea with the harness. I did not know swimming and I was really scared of taking this chance. Then I realized that it is once in a lifetime opportunity that I did not want to miss, and I took the polar plunge. Often, we are faced with situations where we do not know the end result or outcome or are being held back by our fears. Until we explore, take risks, we miss once in a lifetime opportunity to learn, to grow, and overcome our fears. When I started my career all as a manager, all my teams were in US. With globalization, I had an opportunity to build a team in India. I spent a lot of time building the team, recruiting the team, and connecting with them through early morning calls to late night calls so that I could enable their execution and be connected to them. As my organizations grew, I realized that this model would not scale. I started empowering and encouraging my team members in these different time zones to start driving the projects on their own and start taking the project decisions. I ensured that they knew that I would support their decisions and step in and help them as necessary. This built confidence in my team members to start independently driving these projects. They felt more confident. This led to increase in our team productivity, scaling of our operations, and the personal growth of my own team members. I believe that providing open and constructive input is very important for personal development. I remember my own instances from early on where personal development input was included as part of performance discussions, which were once a year. This, this input was ambiguous and not many examples to learn from. With my teams, I have evolved my style where I provide them ongoing regular input, which would help their own personal growth. And I provided with specific examples so that they can learn and grow from those experiences and examples. When I was a tech lead and an engineer, I used to be very quick in learning and diving into helping my team solve the problems. Whenever somebody approached me with a problem, I would quickly give them a solution or tell them, hey, maybe we can solve it like this. Over time, I have evolved my style to be more of a coaching style, where I work with my team on finding out how would they go about solving a problem and helping them with problem solving rather than me jumping in first and giving my perspective on how we would solve a problem. I can recall my own instances from childhood where my dad used to keep on asking me questions whenever I went to him with a problem. It was a frustrating experience for me as a child, but now I understand that enabling a person to find a solution on their own is one of the best attributes of leadership. Therefore, as a manager and a leader, we must empower our teams so that they have more autonomy to drive the team operations. This will help you build high performance teams. We must work with our teams on building critical thinking skills so that they can solve the problems on their own going forward. Collaboration and influence are very important for delivering any successful product. When working across teams and when multiple teams are contributing to a project, it's very important for us to incorporate their perspective and input as part of our project planning. We must understand the dependencies and we must put together a schedule so that everybody knows when certain dependencies coming in and everybody is marching to the same beat. Several years ago, at one of the companies, I had to deliver a service in public cloud. This required the connectivity from the on-prem data center to the public cloud. The infrastructure for this particular connectivity wasn't set up. The team that I was dependent on had their own priorities. In discussion with this team, I explained to them on how this particular collaboration would help both our teams and how this team could showcase the work from this collaboration as a success for their organization. Post this discussion, that team understood and saw this as an opportunity for hosting the first production service on the infrastructure enabled by them, which would further their organizational goal. We were able to get the needed infrastructure for setting up and deploying our service in public cloud. When working with cross-functional teams, it is very important for us to help them understand what is in it for them and why they should care to work with us. We need to be able to bring in and understand their perspective as part of the project planning. On successful execution of the project, we must recognize all the teams that made it happen. These steps will help us build more trust and strengthen our cross-team relationships for future collaborations. As a leader, we must always set a high bar for delivering quality products. This needs to include the repeatability and predictability in delivering our product releases. Several years ago, I took responsibility of an organization. 1 week into the role, I realized that our team was starting all the work from scratch. The processes were not automated, they were all manual. The code fixes from one release were not carried over to the next. It was very difficult for the team to estimate how long a release would take. I rolled up my sleeves and worked with the team on understanding the current landscape, the challenges. Then we reviewed the technologies and tools which were available within the company, which would help us automate our QA and the CI/CD pipelines. We instituted engineering processes to get more predictability and repeatability and for code check-ins and code reviews so that we can improve the quality of the code itself from the get-go. Within 4 months, we were able to establish necessary processes and automation in getting to a regular cadence for the releases. With these steps, my team was then able to focus more on building features rather than dealing with the production issues due to quality. I believe in providing autonomy to the team. At the same time, I like to know about the operations within the organization and keep a pulse on the organization. As a new manager and early in my career, it was very difficult for me to gauge how my asking for more information, the reviews of the projects, and seeking more information on the project status would be perceived by my teams. Over time, I developed a style of transparency where I let my teams know that if I'm asking or seeking more information, it is to better represent my teams in the external forums and to showcase their work with the senior leadership. This is also to understand and work with the team to discover any blocking issues ahead of time so that we don't have to deal with fire drills. With this transparency, now my team knows that if I'm seeking more information or going deep into the projects, it's to help with the team execution and to better represent them in the external forums. As a leader or a manager, whenever we are delivering products, we should always look for cross leverage, look at technologies which are available to us internally, which would help us accelerate the speed of innovation. We need to take a look at our engineering processes so that we can bring in repeatability and predictability in delivering our products with quality. Technology is changing at a fast pace, and we must continually learn to keep up with this pace. As I grew in my career, I have learned new domains and new technologies. I started with distributed computing, CORBA, web services, and in the past few years, I stepped into the space of Hadoop, data science, machine learning, and cloud. My teams are also constantly using new technologies for bringing innovations into our products. There are multiple ways of learning technology. We can learn technology through doing proof of concepts. We can learn technology by adopting that as part of our product development to provide innovative solutions for our customers. We can learn technology from the free webinars or the conferences. There are even online courses which we can leverage for learning technology. Cloud vendors today provide free cloud credits for one to experiment and learn the technology. I recommend that we use all these channels which are available for us for learning the technology and understanding how we can use it for building innovative solution for our customers. Over time, I have realized and I believe that the growth or personal growth also comes from giving it back to the community. As I went through my journey, I have learned through each experience. I take time to mentor others, share my experiences through conferences or through women in technology forums. I joined the advisory council for ThriveWise to further contribute to women in science initiatives. I contribute to women initiatives through involvement at the Women in Technology forums at my own companies. When I started my career, there were not many women in technology forums or the conferences where one could understand or find out the challenges faced by women. Women had to experiment, learn, forge ahead, and make progress. In the last decade, there are a lot of resources, conferences, and awareness around increasing the women representation in workplace, about the different resources that women can use for learning and growing in their careers. In the last few years, there has been a lot of actions and a lot of programs which are being put together in the workplace for increasing the diversity, equity, and inclusion at workplace. So I would encourage that we use these resources and channels which are available to us at our workplace or through the conferences for learning and growing in our careers. Thank you for allowing me to share the parts of my journey today with you. The aspects that I learned: be bold, build teams, collaborate, achieve excellence, continually learn, pay it forward, are the attributes and aspects that I learned as I transitioned from technical to management to leadership roles. I encourage you to take the ones that are most meaningful along your own career journey. Enjoy, have fun, and make wonderful memories along the way.
And we do have some questions here. So let me take them by first in, first served. So how would you handle if you still had the lead position taken from your hands, even when discussions were had with management and it was agreed that you were ready to be a leader, yet ended up giving it away to someone else with no reasoning?
So if a lot of times things are not in our hands, what I want us to do is have a continuous conversation and find out the reason. Are there certain growth areas that a person or a manager would like us to work on? And that is something I have learned over the years, that those discussions are very healthy, and it's good to find out if there are certain attributes or areas that we need to work on to work towards that role, because we can grow ourselves personally, so that next time there is an opportunity, or if there's an opportunity somewhere else, we are well prepared for that role.
Thank you. Another question. When you transitioned to management, did you start at the first level manager and then grew at the higher level? If so, do you think you took a step back in your career since you were starting out as a manager?
When I started as a manager, I was a senior engineer, and I started as a senior manager because it was a lateral move for me. I had it was at the same level for me. But from the management point of view, it was with one team. And then from there, I grew into managing multiple teams, establishing global teams. And then I moved into the leadership roles for the director and so on. It wasn't a step back for me. And if I take anytime we get into a new role, it's about what are the new skills that we are learning as part of getting into the new role. When I was into the technical role, and although I was a team lead, I did not know about the bigger picture or where the company was headed, because I was too much focused in my own work and in my own specific deliverable. So getting into management, I learned about confluence, about influence, about collaboration, about building teams. So these are some of the essential skills that I would have missed if I still stayed in the technical track. So there is a although it is a lateral move, or move into a management is an entirely different role. It is a growth in terms of my personal development, because I was able to build new skills.
It's essentially a change of career from
Yes,
technical to.
that's correct. Yeah.
That's correct. Thank you. And another question. What was it like to transition from hands-on technical work to management? I think, Gemma thinks, she would have a hard time leaving the lab to be mostly in an office if she transitioned to a leadership role. It has to do with the character of somebody, I think.
Yeah, it is difficult, like I was talking about in one of my stories. When we are in the technical role, it looks like, okay, we can go in and solve the problem very easily. And it's also, as an engineer, we look at everything black and white. But when you get into the leadership and the management role, it's about growing the team, and then also dealing with ambiguity. So it was difficult for me, because I was like, I could say, hey, I can solve this problem. This is how you could go about solving the problem. But then, how are you teaching and growing your people to solve the problems? If you grow in your career, then you cannot scale if you have to get into each and every aspect of solving the problems. Therefore, we have to develop our own teams so that they can start solving the problems on their own. And that's a conscious decision that one has to make while going through this journey. And it will come over time. It will not happen overnight.
Understood. Thank you so much. I think we're at the end of our session. What I keep is be bold, and everything else will follow. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.